Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a second date with Dora. This is just me more or less trying to learn to fly the Focke-Wulf 190 D9 Dora. And, well, in my last experience, she's been quite well, I guess, harsh mistress is one way to call her. She's almost impossible to taxi and take off with, but in the stream, of course, with you in my back seat, we will try to master this bird. So I'm gonna hide the pilot because I don't really need the pilot. So if you don't know how a Focke-Wulf 190 looks like, this is a Focke-Wulf now 190. The D9 is the Focke-Wulf with the long nose. There was actually the A8 that I think it's also in development for DCS that has a shorter nose. As far as I heard from various sources, the D9 was not produced in a very large number. The A8 was the most important version used by the German Air Force or Luftwaffe. This is, well, I don't know what squadron it is. It's situated somewhere in Normandy, which is, I'm using the Normandy map. We're going to go through the startup sequence and we're going to try to take off. So there are a few twerks with this aircraft, but I'll explain them as I go along. First of all, the startup sequence is very simple. The plane itself has a circuit breaker panel here, which I'm going to turn on. Doesn't really matter the order you turn them on. If you're familiar with Russian birds, this is a similar system to what Russian birds have. You need to power on the systems. Battery came on. Okay, I'm gonna set the fuel system to the forward tank. Magnetos are basically your ignition plugs. Throttle to idle. The flap system is very similar to that of the Russian planes. Actually, that's where they copied it from. So it has reset, takeoff and landing. Now they're on landing position. So now they're raised up. I'm gonna turn this other group of systems on, which contains including everything, including the fuel pumps. And now we're actually ready to start the engine. So I'm going to lift the starter cap here. I'm gonna push the starter, then when the magnetic clutch, I don't know what a magnetic clutch is yet, but well, we'll figure it out together as we go. When the engine catches, we'll pull up the magnetic clutch in about 20 to 25 seconds, and the engine will start. This is nothing like the Mustang. This is a lot easier to start. So let's listen to the sound of the engine. Okay, well, we need to try this again. I don't always get it from the first try, so... And now I release the start button and I'm going to close the canopy and I'm going to turn on the oxygen pressurization system, which is here. So the instrument panel itself is very simple. Altitude in kilometers, speed in kilometers per hour, ADI, vertical speed indicator. Well, let's try to look at these little instruments here. Well, I'm just going to use this mouse function. Temperature, fuel quantity. I don't remember what exactly this is. Again, it's a temperature gauge and this is an oil pressure. This is the compass, and the ATA, this is the manifold pressure. It's a very simple plane. Here we have the ammunition. We can turn it on or off for cannons or bombs. So there's an Me-109 taking off. Here are the rockets, and this is the bomb armament panel. It's a very simple plane, but it's actually very easy to operate compared to the Mustang, so it doesn't require so much engine management. So to taxi, I'm gonna lock the tail wheel by putting the stick backwards, and we're gonna advance the throttle slightly. I'm actually using the wheel brakes to turn. And I don't know how those planes ended up there when I made the mission, but I guess that's some sort of bug. They should have been inside the hangar. I need to look a bit ahead because I cannot see a damn thing because of the tall nose. Ah, there we go. There's the bend here that I need to take to the... I'm gonna break it a bit. There's another bend coming to the left here. This is the Focke-Wulf version, I think, with the Yumo engine, but I need to slow down here a bit. Let go of the tail wheel. She's a bit difficult to taxi. That's one of the main quirks of the Dora. I'll show you the other one when we take off. And we're gonna stop here. Well, we're not straightly aligned, are we? No, we're not. Well, we should be more or less aligned with the runway now. So, the trick now is, I'm not gonna hold the controls. So the trick now is, when we take off, the Yumo engine has so much torque, if memory serves, that basically it twists, see the propeller goes to the left, and it creates torque, pretty much like a helicopter's rotor, which forces us to roll to the left. And that's a killer. That has killed me I do not know how many times in the Dora. So on the takeoff, I will try to compensate with some right aileron. So basically roll to the right and try to take off. I have been successful maybe 2 times, and I've tried it 12 or 15 times. So I'm gonna lock the tail wheel at about 100 kilometers per hour. I'm gonna let the tail wheel go. The back will come up. I'm gonna slowly take left roll, right roll, and right pedal, and we'll try to take off. We might not succeed from the first try. Okay, we need to check that speed. Slight left rudder. Well, we're gonna have to go through this again. You're gonna have to watch me taxi and whatnot. But let's start again. So we're gonna just quit. And let's try to fly again. I'm not gonna explain the startup sequence again. I've done it once. I don't think I need to do it twice. Should have probably done a bit more of a left-right roll there, but since this is a date with the Dora, we're not going to go to the Blue Coalition. Okay, so we're just gonna quickly go through the start sequence. Okay, let's try this exercise again. Alright, I'm not going to advance the stick that much. Apparently it's not needed that much. Okay. Okay, well, I know why this was. I didn't lock the tail wheel correctly. The stick was a bit too front. And we are airborne, finally. So, the Dora's airborne. There are no targets for us. This is just a leisure flight, and man, this is noisy. But once she takes off, she's quite easy to control. As you can see, I don't need to do much, and she just flies on her own. Now, there is no autopilot in this. As you can see, she's quite easy to keep stable. I'm not using the throttle, I'll just ease up on the gas at least. The manifold pressure, the ATA on my right, should be between 0.9 and 1.2. That's the recommended value I have heard about, so I'm trying to keep her there. We're doing about 460 kilometers an hour. Cruising along at about 800 meters altitude. And maintaining a heading of about... Well, we're going north apparently. No, actually we are not going north. And our landing gear is broken, so I won't be doing much with her this time. Actually, I'm going to turn back. I had forgotten also to uncage the heading indicator. Well, this was a bit just for fun, so... Yeah, seems I broke the landing gear, so that's not very nice. Yep, as you can see, the keeping it in the air is actually very easy. It's a very stable aircraft. And I think that there's our airfield. Yep, there's our airfield. I'm going to cut speed. I'm going to try to fly her straight in at a shallow descent. We're going to try to touch down at about 210, 220 kilometers an hour. And with a pressure, manifold pressure of about 0.7 on landing. This is actually what I know from the original Focke-Wulf documentations. It's a bit difficult to see because of the long nose. That's my biggest problem with it. The German procedure recommended the usage of three-point landing, but it's very difficult. And there we go. On another note, if we try the same operation with this guy. This was a date with the Dora. This was a date with the Dora, but not the most successful one. I like the Dora a lot, so it's very simple to fly. The Mustang, on the other hand, I feel is a little bit more stable. So, well, we should have called this a date with Warbirds, but okay, flaps are fully up. Then we're gonna start turning this on. Gonna set my rudder trim. 5 degrees. See the fuel pressure. I'll prime the engine. So this is just also to show us a comparison between the two birds. See, this is started. It's not very difficult to start, it's just a lot more management. This I'm gonna trim up. Now let's turn on the gun sight just to be sure. Let's see, flaps, was it? Flaps 20 for takeoff. Gonna pull the stick a little bit to lock the tail wheel. To allow taxiing with the actual rudder. I need to keep the tail wheel a little bit, the stick a bit back, sorry. I'm just using the rudder now to taxi. Now the tail wheel is locked. I can just put on the wheel brakes and it stops. Very easy. So the Mustang itself is not very difficult either. In many ways, I like it better because of its ground handling is hands down better. And now we're gonna set the RPM. And liftoff. See, that was a lot easier. Dora tried to kill us twice and we broke her. The Mustang was a lot easier. Let's trim the nose forward. I'm gonna try to set the manifold pressure to about there, RPM to about 3000 RPM. Gear up. Flaps up. And I should have uncaged the attitude indicator. I had forgotten about it. But yeah, here's the Mustang. And it's flying. So what do you guys think? Which one seemed easier? I mean, the flying horse itself is quite good. It's not a bad airplane by any means or description. Just gonna need to trim her a bit nose down. And I'm doing the same what I did with the Dora, just trying to fly low level. We're gonna climb soon. And we're gonna Give it a bit more power, up to 50 manifold pressure. The plane itself will climb. I'm not even pulling on the stick. I'm simply just holding direction, more or less. The plane will just climb on its own. It's about 2,000 feet a minute. You can see it's peacefully climbing. It's a bit different from the Dora. I mean, as you can see, I'm actually using multiple axes to control the engine. So I'm using RPM, throttle for the manifold pressure, and I need to make sure the temperatures are staying within tolerable parameters. I'm doing about 200 miles an hour, so I'm gonna go to about 4,700 or 47 manifold pressure. I'm at the higher limits of the propeller RPM, tolerable propeller RPM. My altitude is about 3,200 feet. Yes, this operates in feet and miles per hour. And it's going a bit heavy on the right wing because we're using fuel from the left tank. I'm gonna trim the ailerons a bit. And now she's basically flying herself. Without much assistance from me. It's the closest thing I can come to an autopilot in the Mustang. So you can kind of fly hands off. See, my hands are off the gas, but I'm still kind of keeping an eye on the stick. And I'm continuing to climb. Now I'm literally hands off. And I'm gonna try to trim her a little bit more to the right, to the left, sorry. Gonna try to keep the 200 miles per hour speed. And get the throttle back into more normal parameters. Now I'm literally, look, I'm hands off the Mustang. The thing is, I don't want to kind of think about, you know, two things about the engine. The Dora has the thing that where it automatically manages RPM and everything, while the Mustang, you kind of need to do it manually. I feel it's a bit of a design fault in the Mustang, but don't get me wrong, both of them are very capable airplanes. See, I'm just simply going this way now. Whoop. Let's reset the aileron trim. Yeah, it's centered. The plane just wants to go to the left for some reason. Well, let's not let it go to the left. Just gonna take her over and gently fly. So, I've actually turned on the gun sight. And now let's try arming the bombs. So let's try hitting a target. Let's see what's a good target. This is just the fields and stuff like that, so there's not much here to shack, but let's pick the middle of a field of our port wing. So the procedure is about 30-degree dive angle, more or less. There's a knob here that I need to set to bombs. So this little knob here, that's rockets. We don't have rockets, bombs. I'm gonna arm the fuses. And let's pick a field. Okay, I think I see a very nice field. I'm gonna climb. And we need to aim the reticle beneath the target. So let's go about... We're about 9,000 feet already, so this is gonna be a very high altitude drop. Gonna keep my target in my port wing. There we go, that's the target. And we're gonna pull on the engine and we're gonna initiate our dive. So let's pick up that field there. So we need to aim underneath the center of the field. I don't know what happened. But yeah, that was that. I think the wing broke off. Shameful. Shameful. Very shameful. Let's try that one more time. Let's pick another slot. Let's pick this one. Okay, it has 2 bombs, no rockets. Same as the other ones. Alright, let's... Say the guns work too. Just setting the rudder trim to 0. Well, we were a bit short. I guess about 200, 300 feet short, or maybe less. Let's see. Now I'm trying to figure out where those bombs hit. Ah, there they are. Yeah, we did come a bit short. I was supposed to aim in the middle of the field, so we came about 50 meters short. That's about 150 feet short. That's not a very good result. Well, anyway, let's head back to RAF Ford and rearm. Again, well, I was hoping this is going to be more about the Dora, but turns out to be it's going to be about the Mustang, so... Now let's go about 2000 RPM on propeller. So, please remember, I'm not really biased against any of these planes, Mustang or Dora. I like both of them. It's just some things I feel are easier in the Mustang, some things I feel are easier than in the Dora. I think Mustang is a bit more hands-on, Dora is a bit more, well, I mean, it's easy, feels easier to control, I guess. To me, at least. But the Mustang is by no means a bad airplane. They used to be pretty good ground attackers, as you saw. I mean, I had some pretty big bombs underneath. So, and of course we can go on strafing runs with 50 caliber machine guns in the wings. It has 6 of them. It's not shabby in a dogfight either, but it's a boom and zoom style fighter rather than... Okay, where are we? Let's locate ourselves. That's RAF Ford. Okay. So the base I was seeing there is RAF Ford. Oh, kidoki. So let's cut RPM and manifold pressure a little bit. Trim nose down. RPM to about 1500. Throttle back. And that's still the airbase over there. Now we're gonna try to lose some airspeed in these turns. We're doing about 300 miles an hour. Actually, it's a bit faster than the Dora, it seems. There's a small town just outside RAF Ford. I think I'll have to fly a pattern, then go back in. Okay, let's enter it down with pattern, brake at the end of the runway, and proceed to land. This is RAF Ford. Looks like RAF Ford. Yeah, it is. So let's try to land them the horsey. Yep, this is our takeoff spot. We just used the other runway, so we might have to turn up. Actually, we can just do the brake as if we had come from the left. Okay, let's brake here to the left. Enter the pattern. Flaps down. Flaps 10. Okay, we're climbing a bit, but that's fine. Flaps 20, actually flaps 30. Gear down. I'm gonna trim this Mustang around a bit. Normally I would have to use the wheels on the side to trim, but, well, I'm using my Hodas to trim. We're about 50 miles an hour. Gonna fly a bit further, and in the middle of the field I'm gonna do the turn on final. And I'm gonna set the guns to safe. Well, it's fine. I think we can land with the guns armed. It's not procedure, but, well. Yeah, actually I do like the Mustang. Dora I find it very cool, but the Mustang's a real workhorse. Apologies if I sound weird, guys. I'm actually in quite a bit of pain, physical pain. I've been like this for a few weeks, but, well, I'll be fine eventually. I usually turn out fine. This was a fairly nice turn. Let's use the rudder to kind of keep her steady. Oh, okay, since we're going on final approach. Okay, let's set the manifold pressure there, and we're doing about 120. Let's go flaps down one more. Let's trim her a bit for landing. I was coming down a bit fast. Let's go beneath 500 feet a minute, and I'm way too fast at the moment. The RPM could be though at 1000. It doesn't really matter. The RPM is not the manifold. Okay, 100 miles almost. Okay, well the throttle of course does matter, but okay, we're a bit low and slow, which something I'm really bad with in these tail draggers. I wasn't seeing the runway very well either. Okay, so I should be fairly lined up now. Touchdown should be about 90 miles an hour. 500 feet a minute. Just off the runway threshold. I'm not very versed in the Mustang. I'm a bit high, I admit. Okay, let's try to do a nice landing. Well, we did bounce it, and we broke it, but we can always call for repairs. And we broke the prop as well. Well, the wheel brakes make the nose a bit iffy. Well, that wasn't my best landing. That's a broken Mustang. Base commander's gonna have my head for this. Let's see, can we request a repair?
Request repair. Copy.
Okay, so the ground crew is gonna come and fix the Mustang for us. We're gonna taxi it to the far side of the runway and rearm with rockets, and we're gonna do a rocket run, then we'll be done. So we have to wait about 180 seconds, about 3 minutes for them to start their repair cycle. I think I should have trimmed it a bit more to the right when I came in. But yeah, well, that's what it is. I mean, I'm no expert pilot. I just enjoy flying. Oh yeah, that's the eternal water bug in DCS. Sometimes it does this. Yeah, well, hello viewer. Well, we're kind of currently broken on the ground. I was just trying my hand at these tail draggers, and it was initially supposed to be the Dora, but the Dora killed me twice. So in the end, I was just trying to show a comparison on Dora and the Mustang. These are my two favorite warbirds, not tail draggers. I do have the Spitfire as well, but for the life of me, I cannot remember the startup sequence for the Spitfire. The Mustang and the Dora are very easy. It's just amount of a lot of memorization that apparently I was not able to do for the Spitfire. Also, people say it's actually not that nice to fly, but I don't know. I just like the Mustang and the Dora. Rumor goes there's a P-47 Thunderbolt coming as well, so if you guys like warbirds, stay tuned for DCS's announcements. So they're gonna lift the aircraft, then they're gonna start fixing it. So the P-47 is coming out. That's a ground attacker, so that's a fighter bomber basically. Hey, the engine's shut off. Okay, there we go. Yeah, well, that was a quick and dirty repair. So the aircraft shut off. I'm not gonna go to the end of the runway. I'm just gonna request a rearming. So what's our fuel? 60%. I don't want bombs. I'll remove the payload. Yeah, let's go for this color scheme. Moonbeam McSwine is a name too epic to ignore. Let's pick up these H4 rockets. I think the P-47, if memory serves in history, it carried even more. But oh, I can have 10 of them. That's very nice. So all these weapon stations are basically rockets.
Request rearming. Copy.
So this is Moonbeam McSwine. I like the name. A very shiny bird.
Rearming complete.
There we go. Now we can just start her up again. Okay, well, that's a started Mustang. Flaps 10 for takeoff. So let's go flaps 20. We have a lot of payload. Okay, let's set the trim to about 3 degrees. Nose up. That's about there. Rudder trim 5 degrees to the right to counteract the torque. Aileron trim can stay centered. Is it even centered? Yes, it should be. Okay, let's go back to the far side of the runway and RPM.
Forward, in field. 1, 2. Request takeoff.
I'm actually going kind of in S's here, so I can actually see what's. Whee! I'm just having fun at the moment. Okay, I don't need to do anything else, just make her take off. She'll just take off on her own, really. Whoa, that was... no, this has happened before. Well... Hey buddy, can you get out? Nope, he's dead. Well, anyway, thank you all for tuning in into this series of very hilarious failures on my end. I've broken the Mustang on landing and the Dora twice, so hey, it's gotta be a record. Anyway, thank you for tuning in this date with Dora and her friend, the Mustang. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember, you feel free to call me an idiot, feel free to follow if you like my content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.